The body does not subject the wise man to the temptations of lust and greed, nor does it allow ignorance or fear to invade him. The intelligence that governs the wise man's body is not drawn out by the excitement which the ignorant call pleasure, but it rests within in a state of contemplation. That's an interesting way of putting it, isn't it? The intelligence is not drawn out by the excitement which the ignorant call pleasure, because this is the practice of spirituality. The intelligence here is the attention and the emotional investment that we put into what the attention is being drawn to. That's the intelligence. It rests in itself. It enjoys whatever comes along without thinking, oh, that was nice, let's have some more of that. It's not kind of getting caught up in that. It's the main enjoyment is actually in the peace which arises from when awareness rests in itself, and within that peace there are enjoyments are afforded. So it rests within, the intelligence rests within in a state of contemplation. It's a state of contemplation on itself. The embodied being comes lightly into contact with the body while it lasts, but is untouched by it once it is gone, even as air touches a pot which exists, but not one that does not exist. This sounds like it's talking about the spirit once the body has gone, and there's no hanging on to the body. But and that's probably the sense in which it's meant. But when you could also understand it just simply in terms of spiritual practice. We've just heard how the intelligence rests within in a state of contemplation. And when it does that, there's no notion of the body. So that contemplation is not disturbed by longing for sense pleasure or body pleasures. So we can also understand it in terms of immediate spiritual practice. Just as the most deadly poison which was drunk by Lord Shiva did not harm him but enhanced his charm, the varied actions and enjoyments of an enlightened person do not bind him to the cycle of birth and death. Just as if and here's an interesting one, just as if you know someone is a thief and deal with him without knowledge, he becomes your friend. When you enjoy the objects knowing their true nature, they give you joy. The wise man who is rid of all doubts and in whom there is no image of self reigns supreme in the body. In other words, once you're in touch with the true nature of things, you're not going to fall victim to them, or you needn't fall victim to them. And you don't need to avoid them either. That's the thing. Once you don't need to avoid them, you don't need to say, oh, I need to not do this or not do that because it will affect me, give me a bad mental result or something. You engage with whatever presents itself, basically. You engage with whatever presents itself with an understanding of its nature and of your own nature. And basically, I think what we've got here is a state of harmony, a state of harmonious engagement. Therefore, one should abandon all cravings for pleasure and attain wisdom. Only the mind that has been well disciplined really experiences happiness. And it's the mind here in the sense of the attention. Once the attention is under control, there's a bit of an aversion to using that word control, but once it's not being hijacked all over the place, then you've got happiness, really. The captive king, when freed, is delighted with a piece of bread. The king who has not been subjected to captivity does not enjoy as much, even should it be the annexation of another kingdom. Hence, the wise man grinds his teeth and strives to conquer his mind and senses, Such conquest is far greater than conquest of external foes. The wise man grinds his teeth and strives to conquer. I've mentioned this one before. It's indicative of the effort, I suppose, but it seems to kind of be creating a bit of a wall when you've got to grind your teeth. But let's face it, the challenge is great. The challenge is great to buck the tendencies of our habits, and it can be very uncomfortable. I sometimes think of spirituality as not scratching the itchy spot. It's about not scratching the itchy spot, because that's what it likes. The attention is itching to do this or get involved in that or get lost in this or enjoy this or get a bit of oblivion through that. And it is very difficult. It's it's like coming off an addiction. It's like dealing with an addiction. You know, it's the alcoholic who's trying to give up the alcohol and suddenly gets that urge for a drink, and is just thinking, well, why not? Why not? But there has to be a very deep resolve not to go with that. And I think we can understand that as grinding the teeth and conquering the mind, although it's put in rather crude terms. But it is a battle after all.